Hello there and welcome back to my YouTube channel. James here as ever for today's video all about how you can pass your upcoming financial reporting, that's the F7 paper. And in the video today I'm going to take you through all of the free ACCA resources that you can find on their actual website. As I said, for free. I mean, whew, what a video. So make sure you stay all the way to the end, pen and paper at the ready, because I'm going to take you through my insights, tips and tricks, and what the external examiner says. So really helpful if you've got your upcoming exam. These are the resources that I'd be using if I was in your position. If this is the first time you've ever clicked on one of my videos or visited my YouTube channel, my name is James. I'm an ACCA qualified member from the UK, and on my channel I help out ACCA students around the world pass their examinations. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, make sure you subscribe. The button will be at the bottom, as the whole channel is 100% student-led and all the videos are dedicated to my lovely loyal subscribers with any requests of information they have. And today is no different because, as you can see down here with my fabulous editing, Mohammed, thank you very much for your question, for your query. And as you can see down here, I have 1 month, James, to do the F7 exam. Okay, right. I feel like I've forgotten all of the syllabus because I didn't study for around a month. Is there any hope of it? And what should I do, James? Mohammed, don't you worry, my friend. I have got you covered. If you follow this video through, utilise all the free resources along with the study text and actual exam practice that you can go through. I'll put all the links in the description for this video, so feel free to check them out. That is the perfect formula for actually passing your upcoming financial reporting exam. If you've got any other questions or sort of feedback on the video, make sure you leave me a comment below. More than happy to help. And as ever, feel free to subscribe so you get access to all my free materials, just like Mohammed has on there. And it could be the difference between getting you that 50 plus and getting that big tick in the box to say you've passed your next exam. That's the whole point of the actual channel. So without any further ado, I'm going to head on to the main screen now. Get yourself comfy. We're going to go through it from start to finish. Make sure you stay to the end, and happy days. Let's get started. On 3 and 2 and 1 and go. Okay then, so if you click the actual link in the description to this video, it's going to take you directly onto ACCA's website where you can access all of the financial reporting, that's the F7 materials, all for free. I'm going to walk and talk you through, as I said, these are the documents that I'd be identifying as a key resource that is going to help me to pass, and then I'm going to take you through my insights, how I'd actually use that to help me in this. Now, before we get actually started going through this, and before I lose my breath, it's a case of you need to be aware of the actual pass rates for this exam. And as you can see, it's give or take around about 50%, so 1 in every 2 students will pass, and I firmly believe if you follow the tips in this video, so make sure you stay around all the way to the end, take notes as we go through, these are the things that could get you that 50 plus, and so you are in those pass rates on there. That is the main thing. So without any further ado, as you can see on here, we are given all the exam resources, again all specific to the F7 or FR paper, and we're just going to go through them one by one now so that you can take down all of the key PDFs that I recommend you go away and download and what they're going to mean for you. So first of all on here, ACCA have actually already done for you a specific video from some of their actual team, so you can go away, watch that for yourself. Again, free resource, but keep scrolling down to the bottom on here, and these are the first key resources that I'd definitely be using. So first one to get written down are the actual financial reporting essentials on one page. A really useful tool. And again, because I'm heavily prepared for this, this is what I prepared earlier. But it's a case of on here, whether you're starting financial reporting from scratch, where you haven't done any tuition, you haven't even got the books yet, whatever it may be, this is really helpful to actually break down all of the areas. They've got lots of good financial reporting key terms on here that are going to help you to pass. So first things first, actually, tackling of the exam. So it's got the breakdown of section A, B and C on here, actually telling you it's the objective test questions, how many marks they have on here, and then the scenario-based questions, which are the real areas where people tend to actually fail the financial reporting exam. We'll come on to that later on in the external examiner's report, but it's just something to be aware of because time management in this exam is absolutely critical. As you can see on the overview on the left hand side, we've got everything from the conceptual and regulatory framework. This is where I'm going to show you through the syllabus what other areas you may want to consider and other books you may want to use as well from your previous studies. And it just breaks it down, and a real good thing from the overview here is you may want to actually split up your study notes. So actually having accounting for transactions in financial statements in one folder, preparing single entity financial statements in another on there, and then preparing consolidated financial statements potentially. It's just to separate it out, because financial reporting can sometimes be particularly overwhelming and can be really tough, especially if you've already failed it before. The other things to actually point out on here are, we'll be going through the key resources one by one, but as you can see down here, if you hover your mouse over it, you can click any of these at the bottom, whether it's the practice platform, you've got the examiner's approach, you can go straight to those actual resources at the bottom there. So definitely worth printing out or downloading to get the ball rolling, or if you're actually just thinking, well, I need some new resources, I'm a few weeks into tuition, or I've got the exam next week, a really good starting point to actually go through and cover all the key aspects. So that would be the first place I would definitely start. You've also got on here external sites, so viewing the actual specimen exam on the practice platform. So what that means is you will log in to the practice platform through your MyACCA, and you can actually go in there and access it. We're going to come on to the external examiner's approach, and for anyone who is actually not familiar, maybe you've had exemptions from previous exams and the financial reporting exam is your first one, I would highly recommend going on and having a look and downloading the guide to the session. I've not put it on this one because it's a bit more specific to financial reporting, but one of the key areas to get down in your notes why people failed this exam is that they can't translate their answers on the computer-based examination format effectively. Showing all your workings is another key area why people will pass the exam, but having poor workings and not picking up on your own figure marks, as you will have seen on some of my other videos on the channel, that is where it is absolutely critical for you to implement that technique and practice that is going to help you to pass. So little things on there that will go a very long way, along with that other video on there that I'll let you watch in your own time. So that is the first aspect of the free financial reporting resources that I'd highly recommend you have a look at. Then as we go through, it's a bit more generic now with the actual planning of your study. So again, potentially if you've actually got some exemptions, financial reporting is one of your actual first examinations, have a little look through the actual planning of your study. It goes through a nice little breakdown as to say, well, how you actually go through with it. But again, we have other videos on the channel that can help you through. This is more of a generic from ACCA if you're going through the actual process rather than being financial reporting specific, which I want to keep the video focused on here. Because, as you can see straight away, we have the examining team guidance. So you're sitting a financial reporting exam, you'd like to know, well, what does the actual external examiner and the team marking behind it actually want to know about it? What are they going to give insights? And there's a fantastic article on here. If you go click it through, nice little overview discussing about unsuccessful completion of the financial reporting exam, as you can see down here. So it's just to highlight all of the key critical areas, which again I'll show you in some of the PDFs coming up as well. But a nice little breakdown, everything from the computer-based exam, all the key areas. There we go again, section A, B and C in a lot more detail compared to the actual all in one place on that first PDF. So really, really good resource for you to go through. I'll let you read it through in your own time. But I'll be honest with you and say that in actual fact, there'll be quite a lot of students who won't even read that. So it's a case of, if you'd like a bit more of an insight to it, go through it in your own time, make some notes, and you will pick up on the key financial reporting key areas, which I'm going to take you through in the rest of the video. Because we've got quizzes that you can get ready for your actual tests. So again, this is different students of different levels. These are the extra resources. I just want to highlight it in the video in itself, but again, it's completely up to you, all designed to help you out. But coming on to more specific financial reporting aspects now with the syllabus, and scroll it down, this is where we need to be aware of what updates have actually happened within the syllabus. And first thing to point out in your notes is to say, when am I actually sitting the financial reporting exam? Because the first changes to the financial reporting exam always happen in September. So if you're sitting the exam in September, I would highly, highly recommend that you actually look through these PDFs. And again, obviously I've pulled one out that I've had a look at earlier, and this is the syllabus and study guide available to you. And again, it gives you a nice little breakdown. There are all the contents as you go through. It talks about everything from the different hours, the sort of levels, the structure of being an ACCA member. But I'm just going to highlight on here some of the key areas that I'd be wanting to actually know about. So if you keep going through, I always get the question of, James, what areas do I need to be aware of before my financial reporting exam? Maybe I've had a 12-month break, I'm coming back to it. What areas or other books do I need to be aware of? And then how should I save these notes for future exams? Well, this is where the corporate and business law, and financial accounting, if you haven't had a look at financial reporting in a very long time, those are the two core areas. Personally, I would focus more on the financial accounting. That's got the underpinning sort of areas. And then obviously from that as well, if you're thinking about doing future exams, then that's going to lead on to audit and assurance, SBR and SBL. I've done a video on how to actually select the exams, so make sure you check out that on the channel. That is definitely going to help you out as you progress through. Now, there are other areas on here that you need to be aware of. So you've got everything from the introduction to the syllabus. Again, you've probably been watching this video going, I've never looked at this before, and I'm definitely going to look at this now because these are just brilliant areas that you'll see in your core text, and they're for free on ACCA's website. So this is where, on completion of the exam, you need to do these points from A to E on here. Everything from the regulatory framework, IFRS, interpreting financial statements, technology skills, employability, single and business combinations. So again, could be another area where you say, right, I'm going to have 5 different folders on here, A, B, C, D, and E, and then if I have any study notes or questions I've done that relate to that area, I'm going to pop them in that folder, keep it all organised. You then also have the resource to say, well, from those conceptual frameworks or the transactions, this is where it breaks it down into other subsections. So you've got everything from financial instruments, leases, non-current assets, and this is where, make sure you get down in your notes, have a look through the actual technical articles which we're going to come on to later on in the video, just to show you through. And finally, you get an actual detailed study guide on here, so taking those from further up. So just as an example, because sometimes it can be a bit hard to follow sometimes, so you've got the conceptual and regulatory framework for financial reporting up here, and then you've got the need for conceptual framework, and then you've got these areas A to G. So if you see up here, there's the conceptual and regulatory framework. The need for it was point 1, and then they've gone into a lot more detail, hence the detailed syllabus further down. So it's just so you can actually follow it through and understand where it's actually formed from, because as you can see on here, there is a lot. But finally, just so you're aware, and if you're going to be coming to sit this in September or whatever month it may be for you, or whatever period in time, always at the bottom of the syllabus, really key thing to get noted down is where the actual changes have happened in the syllabus. So maybe you've got an old text from the previous year, well, this will show you any areas that would need to be sort of updated, or just to make a note of it, I would say. So yeah, really helpful, free resource on there. Definitely check it out, print it out, go through it, understand all the key areas that you need to be aware of for your exam. A very good underused resource in my eyes, I would say. So that takes us through the syllabus, all those key areas, and actually the detailed study guide with any updates. And now we actually have examinable documents on here. So again, another free resource. You've got the up-to-date one on here, so we'll pick the September 2021 up until June. And again, it's got all the resources on there for you. So the examinable documents, September, and this is really, really helpful so that you can see the actual course and the actual areas and the syllabus, which actually pulls forward into SBR in the future. So you will have to do it to become qualified. And it's got a really nice breakdown of all the actual standards on here. The ticks in the box on the side relate to which exam it applies to. So for example on here, employee benefits IAS 19 will not be included in the financial reporting exam. And if you just keep going through, it's all nicely listed out for you. Another key thing just to note down within your notes, because I get this question all the time, it's a case of, James, do I actually need to write down on here, well, any of these? So you've got business combinations or leases, borrowing costs, income taxes, property, plant and equipment, but say, do I have to write down IAS 16 for property, plant and equipment in my exam? Well, you don't actually have to specifically write it down. If you write it down and you get it right on there, that does not equal a mark. For the financial reporting exam, it's the application of the actual standards to the given scenario, which is where you'll get the marks. Now, what I've tend to find is, and you can do it anyway, it's a case of students who I find who actually remember the standards and write them down anyway in the exam tend to actually apply it back to the scenario a lot more effectively. So you won't get any marks for actually writing it down, but the technique of actually applying it to the scenario and explaining what the implications are for that given example that you need to talk about or explain in your exam, that is where the added value and the marks are. So it's completely up to you, but it's just so we have it on record for today to help you out. And then you've got other areas on here, so additionally examinable for SBR as well, so other different areas, everything from cash flows, statement of comprehensive income, nice little breakdown on here with all the details on the side. So again, really good free resource that I would definitely be using, and then saying, well, how many past papers have I actually been through where I've seen different actual standards being used, and then where do they actually where do we actually find that they're being implemented, because some of these will actually be implemented more than others. So the more question practice you do, as ever with financial reporting, the better you're going to get and the less mistakes you're going to make, showing your workings even clearer. But again, the examinable documents on there, really helpful tool. Highly recommend you go check it out in your own time and just sit through. Maybe you want to make a checklist after this video and say, right, Monday I'm going to go through that document, Tuesday I'm going to go through the next one, and so you start to tick them off as well. So you start to make progress and build momentum as you go through. You've got on here, like in every module within ACCA, you've got the maths and English support. So if English isn't your first language, or maybe you struggled in the financial accounting exam with your actual maths, there is other support provided by ACCA in there. Again, feel free to check it out. It's another free resource in your own time, but I just want to keep this video a bit more financial reporting led on it. You've also got on here effective learning and revision. I'll just click it so that you can see on here. It's got everything from about the planning stages, revision, question practice, exam technique, all the things that I talk about on the channel and have been going through this video. I would definitely say the actual mock papers, the practice platform, the exam technique, showing all your workings. This is so you get all your own figures and carry forward marks. It's really, really critical within the actual FR and F7 exam to show all your workings as you go through, because you most likely will not get the right answer. But if you've actually shown your workings with the formulas, with the calculations, that's where you're going to actually benefit from it. And along with on here, actually answering all of the requirements properly is the other key thing on there. So that's the effective learning and revision applied to financial reporting. Next, you've actually got the question practice platform. So on there, you just go into it, log into your MyACCA account, and it will show you actual practice exams with solutions on there. So again, feel free to check out. It's that important. And look, if we hover the mouse over it, familiarise yourself with the exam format, exam style questions, and the mock paper. I think that's going to be helpful for you. Definitely worth a look. Next one on here, we've got the examiner's reports. Really, really helpful on here. Now, first of all, there are lots of examiner's reports. If you're going to read them through, have a look at maybe the most recent 2, maybe 3. It's up to you. But for this example, we'll have a look through the March and June 2021 for you. And again, this is what the actual document will look like. Obviously, this lady on here is very happy. She must have passed her financial reporting exam to be that happy. To be on the front of it, but it goes through all of the different sections. It gives you examples of what are previously examinable questions, and I also get this within my actual YouTube comments as well, as to say, well, James, are these to the correct standards? And that if I read this question on here about International Accounting Standards Boards, could that be applicable to my exam? Well, the answer to that is yes, because everything that ACCA has to actually release has to be consistent. So whether you're a student starting at the start or you're actually coming to the end, you've fully prepared for the exam and you want to look through more resources, they have to be consistent across the board because it is to the same standard. That's why they have really consistent pass rates on there. And as you can see, you've got a couple of questions on there from section 8, was the third or fourth one. And it goes through breakdowns into section B. So if you're not familiar with the actual exam process for financial reporting, you want to understand it a bit more, this is a really, really good resource for you to go through, see some answers, see the actual style of what kind of answers they're expecting from students. And the other thing to get down in your notes, this is really important, is the actual level of detail that they're looking at here. It's a big step up from the actual financial reporting exam that we looked at earlier, where it carries forward your knowledge. So other thing to get jotted down here is if you only got maybe a minimal pass on financial accounting, 52, 55 for example, I'd definitely be having a look back at some of those old books of yours, and really when I'm coming onto the financial reporting syllabus, homing in and going to a lot more detail to understand those key concepts. Because as you can see on here, we've got calculations, we've got different options, true or false, and then we've also got where do the candidates go wrong. So this is another great resource on here to say, well, how did students interpret this the wrong way? So use it as an actual question practice as well. A really helpful resource. And again, for section C on here, this is another area which the scenario-based questions are always tough for students to pass. So the more sort of exposure that you get to the more insights, and you've got Pastry Co, Gold Co on here as other examples, the better off you are going to do. So I'd highly recommend it. Lots of detail on here, as you can see, but you've got pro formas, you've got goodwill on acquisition, you've got figures, facts, interpretation, so much information on here. And I know what you're already thinking, oh my word, James, I didn't know about that before. But look, they've even given you a nice little breakdown as to some calculations, how it was all worked out, and then explaining to you why things were right, why things were wrong on there. So again, free resource for you. This video is not about going through that in detail itself. It's just to highlight it for you because I know it's definitely going to help you pass your upcoming financial reporting exam. So we've just had a look at the actual examiner's reports on there. Now, the next thing are the technical articles. So for your notes on here, what you need to get down is if you're going through the core syllabus or you're going through an exam past paper and you get a question on impairment or leases or intangible assets or whatever it may be, and you go, I wasn't quite sure on that, well, this is where you need to come to actually enhance your knowledge and to go into it in a bit more detail. Because as you can see on here, you've got all the standards you can see on the left with the key terms. So you've got everything from goodwill, financial instruments, cash flows, or highly examinable areas. So it doesn't matter if you get aspects wrong within the question. This is one of the key areas to go to. I would definitely say, look, we've just seen in the external examiner's report about goodwill, deferred tax, everyone's favourite on there, property, plant, equipment, whatever it may be. Really, really helpful resource. All free, loads of different articles on there. But I would really be using them to say, I've been through the past paper question, I didn't quite get contract assets and liabilities, so I'm going to go read through the article, understand it more, and then revisit the question on top of it. Definitely going to help you out, and really, really good technical analysis on there as well to enhance your knowledge. That again will be pulled forward when you get onto SBR and SBL and the other strategic and professional papers. That is definitely going to help you out on there. The next one we've got is actual exam technique on here, how to actually go through and plan it. And as you can see on here, loads of different resources about understanding the scenario. This is a really good page on here to say, why do people fail the financial reporting exam? Because ACCA have actually put these resources on here for you to say, well, where do people go wrong on this exam? Well, they don't analyse the requirement effectively. They don't understand and apply it back to the scenario effectively. They don't have good exam technique as well. How do you actually walk through the question effectively? So this is a really good resource that I would definitely make use of if I was in your shoes. And the top one on here, not to overlook, is read the mind of the FR marker. So in other words, whoever's going to be marking my paper, what are they thinking? A really underused resource in my eyes that we'll just have a little look through on here. So you've got a table of contents on there with a breakdown of answers from one candidate to another, observations made by the marker, and they actually tell you on here what was actually really good. So that's the stuff that you're going to apply in your exam, and what wasn't particularly good, which you will avoid. And the other key thing on here is in the introduction, I'm a member of the team who will mark financial reporting. So a really good resource to say, well, do I want to upset the person who's going to be marking my work, or do I want to make their life as easy as possible? What are they looking for within their exam? And then you can see on here markers up for meaningful use of the scenario provided. So in your mind, in your notes, I've got to take the scenario, apply it to what the requirement is asking for. If I don't do that, I'm not going to pick up the marks, I'm not going to pass. We've got analysis of single entity, consistency is consistently the weakest area for many candidates. So single entity financial is definitely going to be one I'm going to highlight in my study text as I start to go through it. The examiner knows that people are going to do badly on this. We've got an answer on here that got 15 out of 20. So again, that's 75%, really good score on there. But then you've also got one here that gave 7 out of 20, which is below 50% and would mean an actual fail. But it tells you on here, there are no marks for implausible reasons that contradict the scenario. So attempting to apply it back to the scenario, but not effectively done. And then thinking and planning is an effective use of exam time. So I'll leave it on there for you. Really helpful. Look at this as it goes through all the workings, showing you all the marks. A really helpful resource as to say, well, what constitutes a good answer and what constitutes a bad answer. And look, I mean, if you're writing down all of this and getting 0, 0, 0, 0, that is where time in the exam goes, and another reason why people fail this exam, which is poor time management. So coming back onto the resources, nearly there now, so stay with me, we're all good. And then finally at the bottom, you've got the past paper library on here. Really, really helpful resource. I would get an actual checklist to say, I want to go through as many as possible, starting from the most recent, so September, December, working my way back. The more of these past paper questions you do, along with reviewing the answers, the better off you are going to get on. So as you go through them, this is the September, December 2020 exam paper. You're given, again, different scenarios as you go through. And as you can see on here, we've got a 20 mark, I'll just make it a bit bigger. And this is where you've got prepare a statement of financial position, 20 marks on there, 1.8 minutes per mark, so 36 minutes as you go through, do them to time, review the answer, and they are definitely going to be helpful for you in this exam. The more of these you do, and I'd have it as a little checklist to keep my momentum and to build on it as we go through, the better off you are going to be. 100%. I'd be doing as many of those as possible. And then finally at the bottom, again, if you're completely new to financial reporting, maybe this is day one, the first video you've ever watched on it, I'd really recommend you actually go to the frequently asked questions at the bottom here, because it's got everything about the actual format, best ways to prepare, financial instruments. These are what queries ACCA get from other students around the world, and as you can see here, it goes into a lot more detail as to it. So give it a whirl, and also if you need any help and support to actually contact ACCA, the link is there for you as well. So another free resource, just gives you a bit more confidence and what to actually expect coming up in your financial reporting exam. So that nicely takes us through all of the key areas on there that I'd be picking up on. And if you follow this through and go away from this video, put it down in your action plans to actually download those PDFs, go through, check out all the notes, as we said, that is definitely going to help you become, as you can say in June 2021, in the 51% that will pass this exam. So let's head back to the main screen, and I hope that helped. 3, 2, 1, go! Well, Mohammed, and everyone else who's watching this video, I hope that helped. I've taken you through all those key free resources that I'd be using if I was in your position and I've got to sit the financial reporting examination next week, next month, tomorrow, whatever it may be. If you did find the video helpful, and I really hope you did, make sure you give it a massive thumbs up and like below. I'd really appreciate it, and so that more ACCA students can see this content. And as ever, if you've got any other questions or queries, make sure you leave me a comment at the bottom. I answer them all, and it's all designed so I can actually guide you to other resources if you need it. And as ever, if you'd like access to all my free resources, make sure you subscribe, the button bit at the bottom, again with all the links for the correct text for you to actually purchase for your financial reporting examination. What I've done for you as well is, at the end of this video, as a final treat, is I've left a couple of videos here that if you click one of them, they're definitely going to help you pass your upcoming financial reporting exam. Best of luck with your exam. Let me know how you get on. But as always on that bombshell, I'll see you next time. Cheers!